Happy Pride Month, everybody. This is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Jessica Crockett. So today I decided to pay tribute to that of Jessica Crockett. Jessica Crockett broke barriers by being the very first transgender woman to play an actual transgender person in American television. This happened all the way back in 2001, of all things, 24 years ago, on the show Dark Angel in the first season. I believe the episode is called Out. And I've talked about this briefly when I reviewed Dark Angel Season 1. And I was gonna upload this last year, but I ran out of time and I decided I was gonna upload it this year. Who knew that, there would be such a cultural war on transgenders in this country and everything in 2025 and everything? And it's quite a shame that it has gone to this. Because at one point in time in the 2010s, they were praised and everything. Many of them were coming out. They was on television. I forget the actress name because the two most famous transgender women, I forget her name. She was in Orange is the New Black. I think her name is Lorena Cox. And then, of course, there's scumbag Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner's an odd person. It's like she's the only transgender person I know of that completely degrades and destroys her own community, all for the sake of politics. And then she crawls back to her community when she's been treated badly, but then she crawls back to politics whenever she just wants to act like a fool. I don't understand that person at all. But yet people try to make her the mascot of transgender people and stuff like that. I just don't understand that person. But anyway, but it is quite odd that Jessica isn't known, isn't praised, or isn't famous for being such the person that she was back in 2001. Now, it could be because she's not an actress. This was her only acting role. And then there was another thing she did where she was the additional crew. But for the most part, she's just an advocate. And the reason why this is a big deal is because, like I said before, she is the first transgender person to actually play a transgender person in television. Normally, it's done by a cis person. And I remember the first time I've ever seen a transgender person on television. It was on Married with Children, of all things. Al was having a reunion with some of his high school buddies who played football with him, and one of the guys turned into a woman who was played by an actual guy. And and of course that was just chucked up for laughs and everything. Then the second time was in the first Scary Movie with Miss Ma'am. Miss Ma'am was supposed to be a transgender woman who still had her shillelagh and everything and meatballs and stuff. And it was once again made for laughs. And that's normally how it is. I've said this before, when it comes to diversity and a lot of stuff, diverse stuff is just used for people's amusement, and it gets on my nerves. And so this was the first time that a transgender person was actually treated with some level of decency and respect. I say some only because the thing is Normal was the guy who dated her in the show. And he didn't quite, he kind of suspected something was different about her. Now, the rest of the cast members, the characters, they thought something was up with her. And then later on, they found out what. And so he didn't care what she was or what she was born. He just liked her for her. But then, she dumped him because she's into girls. She's into Original Cindy. And the part where I say, somewhat respect is because Original Cindy literally called her a science project or something like that. And I'm kind of like, okay, I guess that's how, like, a normal person would talk like that back in the day. And, but still, 'cause they trying to keep it real and everything, but, still. But for the most part, that character was treated with respect and not that of an actual joke. And not quite sure how Jessica landed the role. Maybe they did like, an audition for or something like that, locally probably, or something, like, who knows, you know what I'm saying? And so I just thought that was really interesting because, like, I never knew that. Like, I remember when I saw that episode, I just assumed she was a biological woman and everything. And so, like, I think, how old was I back then in 2001? I was either 17 or just turning 18 and stuff. Because, it was very new back then. You really didn't hear about stuff like that. And like I said before, in the late 90s and early 2000s, this is when, like, the LGBT community was starting to not be villainized and was starting to, like, be accepted by many people. It took a long time. It took a little tricking, like, here and there with, like, lesbian porn, and that one show, something for the something I for the straight guy, something like that. And, like, girls, like, who were dating guys would make them put products in their hair and make them wear pink shirts, and like, flip flops with jeans and stuff like that. Normally, because, back, and the reason why I say flip flop with jeans, because if you grew up in the late 90s or early 2000s, for some reason, a lot of gay guys will wear, like, pants with flip flops and everything. I don't know why, but that was the style. And so, it took a while. However, it's crazy now because about 24, 25 years later, now they're once again being villainized. There's like a literal war on, like, transgender people and stuff. And it's quite disgusting because it's like they're human beings. Plain and simple as that. Like, you can't erase that. And like I said before, I'm an outsider looking in, but I will, like, support them and everything, because the way I see the LGBT community is like this. Transgender people used to be like how gays and lesbians were a long time ago. Gays and lesbians were how, like, Muslims were. Muslims were like how, like, Latinos were. Latinos were how, like, Asian people were. And Asian people were like how black folks were. And black folks used to be how Native Americans were. They all, it's always the same thing. It's always the same group of people, the same group of race, always finding something new to hate on, because they just never happy and they want to instill fear into people's hearts. And that's exactly what they're doing with the transgender community right now. Because like I said before, back when, like, the Orange is the New Black actress and Caitlyn Jenner was around, people were okay with them until that Budweiser beer commercial. That one transgender person. And all it took was one hillbilly redneck bigot in the form of Kid Rock to set the sky on fire. And all it took was hatred, bigotry, fear to instill in the minds of simple-minded people. And then it went to them, then it went to parents, then it went to religious people, then it went to, like, politicians and everything. And now we are where we are now and stuff. And what's so funny about that is, like, Kid Rock went on this huge cultural war with transgender people, and Bud Light. No, that was it. I don't think it was Bud Light. I think it was Bud Light, or it was one of those beers. But then yet he was caught drinking that same beer and standing near, like, a drag queen and everything. Such a hypocrite and everything, and so two-faced. And so, of course, that started this big thing to where it's now in politics, to where they've banned transgender women from playing in female sports. Yet, however, have you noticed they did not ban transgender men from playing in men's sports? Kind of odd that they'll ban one but then not the other. And I think the reason why they ban one is because they know how their gender is. Cis men, because they keep saying, these transgender women, they're gonna like, mess with their kids and assault them and everything. Well, transgender women used to be men, and we all know how men are. They are monsters and everything, and they are always assaulting people and stuff. And so they assume, oh, well, they're going to be doing that too. But there's been no evidence of that. See, if they took their time to do some actual research, which I have, you will realize there's less than 10 transgender women playing in sports. That has to be in like, a female league type thing. There's less than 10. There's not dozens, there's not hundreds, there's not thousands, there are not millions. But this is the lie that's being spread. It's literally less than 10. There's also like a 1% of like transgender people committing crimes and stuff. But yet they think it's every single last one. And it's like they think, oh, they're grooming our kids. But there's been no evidence of that. Nobody has been arrested for that. You know who is being arrested for like grooming kids? Mostly that of like straight men, like cis men and everything. They're the ones mostly committing the crimes. They're the ones mostly assaulting people. But yet they're going after this different community because the simple fact is hate. And they spread fear to perpetuate more hate. And if you don't think it's going to happen to you in your community, oh, you're wrong. Once they're done with this whole transgender thing, they're going back to gays and lesbians. And once they're done with that, they're going back to people of color. Because look how much they're rolling back on DEI and everything. Nearly every corporation in America has rolled that back. And it is disgusting and everything to think this is what this country has become. I don't recognize this country no more. This isn't the same one I grew up with. And it's just odd that people are allowing this to happen because of fear and hatred. And that's really all it is. I don't get this whole lie of they're grooming and they're trying to brainwash people to be like them. Because I've seen a couple of television shows that are not LGBT themed, but they had like a transgender person, either as like, a recurring character or like a guest appearance. And I've never once heard them try to groom nobody, or I have them try to like, be all like, you have to turn like, change your gender just like I did, or anything like that. I've never seen one where they tried to date somebody but did not inform them of who they were. Well, except for Dark Angel, but that's a different exception. Nowadays, you will see somebody like come out and be like, hey, this is what I am. But I've never seen that crap. There was a transgender woman in the Barbie movie, and there was no quote unquote woke message agenda when it came to like trans people. Now, there was female messaging in that, women empowerment, the male patriarchy, stuff like that. But there was nothing about transgender people. And single, what is it called? Single drunk female, there was a transgender recurring character, and she was just a character. She didn't like say what she was. She wasn't pushing no like agenda or like anything like that. And there's been other characters. There's Chaz Bono, Cher, and Sonny's Child. I've seen him on like Dancing with the Stars, American Horror Story. He's never tried to push no type of agenda or anything like that. But yet you're seeing it now stripped away from television, like a lot of Disney stuff and Pixar stuff and other things. They're too scared to like, go down that route and everything. And it's just kind of like, I don't get like this pot of like lies and anything that like people are like telling and stuff, because it's having an effect. It's now having the witch hunt effect. Now you're seeing women who happen to look manly, but these women are biological women, but they have more like a manly looking face. and a body and stuff. And now you're seeing people harass them and everything, especially when it comes to sports. We all remember what happened at the Olympics with that boxer, a biological female, and got like skewered online by all these celebrities. Now she's like suing them all and everything. And like, seriously, like, what the heck are we doing in this country where we're doing like witch hunts on people based on how they look and everything? Like, what's gonna happen when you meet a person who's intersex, a person who was born with both sexual organs? Are they gonna be banned from stuff now? Like, what about people who are born with no sexual organs? What's gonna happen with them? And yes, that is something that happens. Do your research. There are people who are born with both sex organisms. There are those born who don't have them. Heck, there are some people born with not a nose, no teeth, no feet, no hands, no saliva, no eyes, no kidneys. Like, you don't know what the heck the genetic pool is gonna do. So it's kind of like, what the heck are you gonna do about all those people? Are you gonna ban those as well because they don't look like you, or because some celebrity is like pissed for whatever reason and have to involve politics into it? I don't understand this, man. And it's just so odd. Like, why do these same people always have to find something new to hate on every couple of decades and stuff, or every century? Like, it just don't make no sense, like, whatsoever. But people believe it because they lie and they're scared and they're ignorant, plain and simple as that. Every time there's a mass shooting, as soon as there's like a guy who has long hair, you always see this trending on Twitter, another trans. And then you see people just like dog piling in the comment section. And it's just like, oh, wait, they're a biological man. So it's you're literally lying just to start like a lynch mob and everything. I don't understand this crap. And it's kind of like, what you gonna do if, say, like a transgender person comes into the hospital? Are you not gonna treat that person because you're ignorant? What if your life is at stake and a transgender person has to pull you from like I don't know, like a burning car or something? Are you gonna wish they just left you there? Like, what if, like, I don't know, like a natural, or like a what is it called, like a storm or something like that messes up your home and they have to like rush in and save your kids? Are you gonna be all like, get out my house because you're trans and everything? I just don't understand, where the heck are we going down? We're literally going down a toxic rabbit hole and everything, and it's just so odd because I didn't grow up in a country like this and stuff. And it's weird because it feels like the 1950s or the 1960s, and I did not grow up in that decade. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.